Hi everyone, today I'm here to talk about the Fear Street Saga trilogy by R.L. Stine. I only have the third book here. The first book is The Secret. The second book is, rewind. The first book is The Betrayal. The second book is The Secret. And the third book is this one, which is The Burning. I read Fear Street books a lot when I was a kid. I remember I had a whole bookshelf full of them and I would just read them one by one going down the row. If you know R.L. Stine, I think his most popular series is the Goosebumps series, which is kind of for younger kids or a little more tame than the Fear Street books, I'd say. Where the Fear Street books are definitely for mid-teens to older teens, I would say. I mean, I probably read them when I was younger. I read kind of whatever I wanted to as a child though, so... But age range wise, where they might place it in a bookstore, that's probably where it would be. This is kind of the beginning of Fear Street and the backstory to why this certain area is cursed and all these bad things are always happening there. And it is basically because the Fear family and the Good family are always trying to murder each other. And it starts back in the 1600s and it goes all the way up through the early 1900s. So for centuries, these families are trying to murder each other and get back at each other, because way back in the 1600s, their families didn't get along and some really, really bad things happened. And I mean bad things. I remembered exactly one scene from this entire trilogy when I read it as a kid. So when that scene popped back up, I was like, I know what's going to happen here. Every other scene, every other part of people dying, did not remember. And some of them are really, really bad. Some you kind of laugh like, haha, okay, that's kind of funny, like in a disturbing way. And then other ones are like, oh, that's bad. I don't like either of these characters. I don't like either of these families. Everyone's cuckoo and they all should have calmed down and learned how to get along. I feel like it's like a Hatfield and McCoy thing where they're like still butting heads even though people are dead. But they're still at each other's throats because they can't learn how to be adults and get along with each other. That is this trilogy, but literally it's just episode after episode of people dying in horrible ways, but still very fascinating, and I still enjoyed reading it as an adult, mostly because I was like, wait, how does this end? I can't remember. The scene that I did remember was from the first book, and that's the beginning of the saga, and then there's kind of multiple family lines or family instances happening in each book. So I just remember the very first one. Everything else in between, all the way up until the end of this book, I was had no idea, could not remember what happened. They're easy to read. They're really quick. I mean, this book is, 200 something, maybe 180, 179 pages. They're all about this size, tiny, quick little reads, but fun, interesting, fast-paced. I wouldn't say there's anything terribly horrible. Obviously, if death is going to bother you, don't read it, but there's nothing overly graphic that you would make me personally squirm or be like, hey, don't read these. These are R-rated books or something like that. No, it's just death. And it's Fear Street. If you've ever read any Fear Street book, they're not happy. Like I said, bad stuff is always happening on Fear Street, right? So it's really interesting to me, super fun. If you like R.L. Stine and you read Goosebumps as a kid and you want to read his more teen or adult type books, definitely check out the Fear Street Saga or any of the Fear Street books. This is just the one that I happen to have and one that I found. These books are so hard to find, guys. Not just this trilogy. I tried looking at every single library where I live, and there are multiple libraries in the city where I live. There are 2 different library districts, and I looked at both of them. None of them have the older Fear Street books, and I get it. It's not popular anymore, so probably people aren't checking them out, so they take them out of circulation. But I was like, you guys don't have any Fear Street books here? R.L. Stine and Goosebumps is still a thing. I still see that at the bookstores. Fear Street books, impossible to find. So my brother actually found these. These were his. I guess they still are. These are his, and he went through his box of books from childhood and found these Fear Street books and left them out for me because cannot find them. Yeah, you can buy them on eBay and Abe Books or thrift books stores or whatever, but where are all these Fear Street books? Because there are I don't want to say hundreds. I don't actually know. There are at least dozens, if not hundreds, of Fear Street books. I'm like, where are they though? Where have they all gone? Because they were really, really entertaining. And I have not read this book yet. My brother took it out. There is a cheerleader Fear Street book, because this is going to come into our question for the day or for the week. That traumatized me as a child, and I still remember, like I said, I remember one scene from this trilogy. I remember one scene from that book. There is a cheerleader who goes to take a shower in the high school like gym shower locker room, and the water starts getting hotter. And at first she's like, "This is really uncomfortable." Like, and she tries to turn it down, but the water just keeps getting hotter and hotter until she is freaking baked, boiled, broiled to death in the shower. Traumatized as a child. I was so worried that I would somehow turn the water on and it wouldn't like stop. One, she couldn't turn it off, and it would just keep getting hotter, and for some reason I wouldn't be able to get out of the shower in my own house. I still remember that scene. It was crazy, but that's what I mean. Like, that's what the Fear Street books are. It's just like terrible things happening to people, and there's always some explanation at the end, like, I'm a ghost, or you hit me with your car, and it was you drove away, and I ended up dying, and now my spirit is haunting Fear Street, or like, whatever, things like that. So there was always an explanation, but man, everyone's just like dying in these books. So they're still fun. I'm like into the dark, horrible literature, apparently. Not like really, really bad, but this kind of thing doesn't bother me. Torture does, or really graphic descriptions of horrible violence does. These are not that. Like I said, they're like teen books, so it's entertaining. You should check out Fear Street. Like, even if you never read Goosebumps, check out Fear Street. They're not necessarily high literature, but they're entertaining. They're fun. They're silly. It reminds me of like Final Destination, where all these people are dying in weird, crazy ways because they cheated death or something like that. So check out Fear Street. It's really fun. If you can find them anywhere, yeah, give them a gander. So that's not a phrase. Give them a gander. Whatever, go ahead, try them out. That is R.L. Stine's Fear Street Saga trilogy. So my question for you, because I described a book that traumatized me as a child, is there a book in your life or a movie that has traumatized you? Because we mentioned movies, I'll just throw mine out real quick. I Am Legend with Will Smith freaked me out. I went and saw it in a theater. It was dark when I got home, and that's when the zombies come out in the movie. And so I was freaking out that I even had to go from a car up the stairs to my house, because I was like, the zombies are out. We don't have any protection. We don't have like steel doors coming down. We have no guns. Oh my gosh, we're all going to be killed by zombies. So that movie traumatized me as a kid. The other movie that made me like stay awake at night was Cloverfield, because there's this giant monster, but these weird like spider-like things drop off of him, and when they bite you, it basically, if I remember correctly, liquefies your insides, and then you puke them all up. I already don't like spiders. As an adult, I'm like, fine, if you don't crawl towards me, you can live. But as a kid, horrified, that movie scared me. I couldn't go to sleep. I just stayed up with the lights on, like at night, because it scared me so much. So yeah, those are the media that traumatized Tate as a child. So what has traumatized you as a child of media? Yeah, that's my question. Thank you so much for listening. Once again, check out any Fear Street books by R.L. Stine, but this one was called The Fear Street Saga. It's like where the terror began. Like I said, the first one is the betrayal, then the secret, then the burning. So check them out if you want to know how Fear Street began. Ooh. And thank you so much for listening, and you all have a safe and great day.